And welcome back to the Hot Lap. Formula 1 is indeed back. So is Max Verstappen, so is the Dutch Grand Prix, so is everybody, with Oscar Piastri leading the drivers still. Max Verstappen not quite over. He's clinging on by his fingernails on that championship. But it is his home Grand Prix success in 21, 22 and 23. Not so much in 24. What's going to happen for 2025? So here we go. It is officially race week in Formula 1. And I tell you what, yeah, we're fairly excited, if I'm honest. So we've got the Netherlands, or the Dutch Grand Prix, in a track where it's final, guys. 2026, it's going to be gone, apparently, after that, which is really depressing. Bearing in mind, we have the mid-ring, literally middle on every level, coming in for Spain, but more on that on another podcast. Let's remind ourselves then of the team standings. We've got McLaren leading on 559, then that massive gap to Ferrari and 260, but it's quite close. 260, 236 Mercedes, 194 Red Bull Racing. Yeah, Max Verstappen really holding the fort there. Then we've got Williams, Aston Martin, Kick Sauber, Racing Bulls, Haas and Alpine. That is your top 10. When we look at the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship, though, they are separated by 9 points. And those 9 points are between Piastri and Mr. Norris, both for McLaren, obviously. And then Max nearly, we're looking at best part of 100 points down now on Piastri, really. Championship over? No. Never say never. Unlikely? Probably. As we mentioned, he is clinging on by his fingernails. But 187 in third place for Max Verstappen. On 172 is George Russell. 151 in fifth is Leclerc. 109 is Lewis Hamilton. We then have Antonelli, Albon, Hulkenberg and Ocon on 64, 54, 37 and 27 respectively. Now this is the Perelli Preview, if you will. So they're using, the hard tyre is going to be the C2, the medium tyre is going to be the C3 and the soft is going to be the C4. Now, in terms of traction, stress, etc., well, I'll remind you a bit later, but it is 72 laps. The distance is 306.587 kilometres. The circuit length is 4.259 kilometres. I think it's Lewis Hamilton back in 2020, but he does have the lap record on 1:11.097. Let's get into the times, shall we? So this is the motorsporttickets.com. They very kindly put the times up. So local time, and obviously UK time is an hour behind the local time. So the first practice session 11:30 UK time, 12:30 track time, and then respectively 4 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon then. But qualifying, we want to know when qualifying is. Well, that third practice session before qualifying, 11:30 local and 10:30 UK time. And then we have qualifying 3 o'clock local time, 2 o'clock UK time. The race is off at 2 o'clock UK time and 3 o'clock local time for that Dutch Grand Prix. So let's then get a little bit of insight into the Dutch Grand Prix track, shall we? Here we go. Bear with me. And welcome to our F1 Hub, where we're going to discuss, yes, the Dutch Grand Prix. But before we discuss the Dutch Grand Prix and who we think is going to win, who we think is going to do well, let's have a look at the track, shall we? Here we go. We are Max Verstappen, as you can see here, on the much coveted track. Let's go. No interruptions here initially as we accelerate in that first DRS zone to turn number 1. It is quite high, it's braking, you can pass here, and the car, you want to get nice and early on the throttle bit into turn number 2 and number 3. Number 3, you think you can take it flat? You can't. Well, that was number 2. This is in fact number 3, the banked corner. The car gets wibbly wobbly as we get into turn number 4. All this pretty much flat. Turn number 5, turn number 6 flat, and then we go into turn number 7, which is, you want to brake just a tiny bit, feather that throttle as we now go into, we are going to have to just dab those brakes a tiny bit for turn number 8. These are this one, turn number 9. Now 9 and 10 I can never really get on with in the game. I don't know about the drivers, but these I really struggle. As you can see, we go absolutely wide, but we are in now the second of our DRS zones. Not quite as straight, slightly curved, but a big break into a chicane. We do see passes here. Once again, turn 1's probably probably the better one now, as we're now coming to the end in turn number 13 and turn number 14. Banked corners, nice for following people. The DRS zone was lengthened a couple of years ago, I believe, and as we are Max Verstappen, we then go through for another 71 times for a total of 72. So, from the track guide to let's talk about a few track stats, shall we? So, as we know, or you maybe not, there's been 34 previous races held at Zandvoort since the Dutch Grand Prix became a round of the World Championship in 1952. 30 of these have been held between 52 and 85, and the circuit returned, as we all know, for that second Synergy CS lockup in 2021. 36 and 11 days after the previous race. It's the second longest gap, believe it or not, between two races at a single circuit. In the 34 previous Zandvoort races, there have been 21 different winners. One of them, most wins at the track? No, not Max Verstappen. He has 3. It is 4. And it is Scotland's own Jim Clark. Now, as we know, Max Verstappen took a very good home race debut on the calendar in 2021 and again in 22 and 23. And let's be fair, neither of his wins, I think, were particularly easy for him. It was quite close. Lando Norris is the only other winner since its comeback from 2021. He won last year in 24. Hamilton and Alonso are the only current drivers who had been born when the Dutch Grand Prix last appeared on the calendar in the 80s. Think of that. Now we've got Ascari, Clark, Stewart, James Hunt, Verstappen are the only drivers who have taken back-to-back wins. Clark and Verstappen are the only drivers to have taken more than 2 consecutive wins, both Clark and Verstappen winning 3 times. Well, as we know, Max in 21 and 23, and Jim Clark in 63 and 65. Now, when we talk about Jim Clark, British drivers have had more wins than any other driver, 12 victories. That means over a third of the races here have been won by a British driver. Does that then suggest help or hope for the likes of George Russell, Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris? I guess we're going to have to see. But it is Ferrari who have won more Dutch Grand Prix than any other team, and that total is 8. 2 drivers have won the Dutch Grand Prix by over a lap in Zandvoort. Jim Clark and Jack Brabham by winning over a lap, and that was back in the 63s and 66. The smallest win margin is 0.232, which is the gap that Niki Lauda won for McLaren in the Dutch Grand Prix before the circuit was removed from the calendar in 1985. Yeah, all those years ago. So, there we go. That is our Dutch, that's pretty much our Dutch Grand Prix, isn't it? And if you want to
10 to the right
review
and
it,
4
this
to the left,
is what the circuit does look like. As you can see here, we got start, finish, sector 1, sector 2, sector 3, 3 sectors
with plenty
as
of
usual.
steep camber and elevation
14
changes
turns,
to keep our drivers on their toes.
2 DRS zones, both of them fairly significant, but I do feel that, as you can see, the green bit up DRS zone 2 going into that first corner.
The 2.6 mile lap, and watch out for cars making use of the DRS zone into
the Zandvoort Dutch Grand Prix. So let's now talk about the drivers, shall we? And let's talk about Colapinto, who is still not particularly great. I mean, he's doing about as well as Jack doing. Lots of talk about Franco Colapinto probably not making it into next year. Maybe at the end of this year. There were also rumours that Alpine have spoken to both new Cadillac drivers, Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez. We'll do a video about that later, which I think is quite interesting. Gasly is the MVP of Alpine. He's really showing his class, but he must be, I can't help, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. And the issue with Alpine, you never really know how fast they're going to go at a track. It really is. When we come to any track at the moment, it is a massive question mark. As it is with these guys here, Hülkenberg, since his very good win, not win, but well, a win for him, podium at the British Grand Prix, there have been some sessions, perhaps a bit too many, where he's been overshadowed by this guy here, Bortoleto. We don't know, once again, what, like Alpine, I don't really know, and it's really hard to predict how this car's going to go. What I can say is it's really improved race on race, which everyone says Cadillac are, yeah, they're not going to score points in the first Grand Prix. Well, these guys are, and they don't really have the same resources that obviously, you know, at the moment that Cadillac might have going into it. Interesting, Haas did score in their first race. It's going to be really interesting to see what, you know, Audi are going to do in that. But next up, the other American team, Oliver Behrman. I think he'll do quite well here. And I'm not saying he's been outshining Ocon, but I think him and Ocon are quite close when you look at, I think, the overall season. I think he will do quite well, and I feel like Ocon is doing as well as you'd really expect him to do, and he hasn't quite put Behrman in the shade, which is good for Behrman, although he's been a bit better, made less mistakes, but then that's simply his experience, let's be honest. So I think they could get points if they're a bit lucky, but other people that could get points, they're not having the best of runaway, is Alexander Albon and Carlos Sainz in the Williams. Will this track suit them? We're going to have to see. Williams does surprise us. It does seem to me that the other teams, in relation to this development race, the development war, have kind of caught up on them. So that's going to be quite interesting to see. I think Williams, back end of the points, absolutely. As for these guys here, Isaac Hadjar, not from Japan, mind you. Don't know why it says that. And Liam Lawson, yeah, this guy is from New Zealand. I think both of the VCAR people could, once again, be fighting for points. It's going to be the bottom end of the points. But there we go. And Aston Martin in the guise of Stroll, and obviously Fernando Alonso. That car has been changed, hasn't it? It was looking really good. How much of that is going to be track specific? I think we're going to get a few answers here, but I'm really looking forward to what those answers are going to be. I mean, we could look for anything from, like a top 6 qualifying to out in Q1 even for Lance Stroll. Probably not Fernando Alonso, but I may eat my words. Now on to Red Bull Racing, where Yuki Tsunoda I think will continue to struggle because they continue not to be able to sort out their second car. And Max Verstappen I think will be getting I predict he'll get a podium. Whether he's going to win it or not, I think he's in there. But I can't help but feel that McLaren were good here last year, and I think they're going to be good here this year. And I think influences not outside his control. But if we have a normal race, I expect a McLaren to win. Having said that, the odd safety car, maybe the odd bit of weather. We do know it's right near the seaside, and seasides seem to have their microclimate, so the weather can change like that in an instant. And that's what's going to be really interesting. I think factors potentially outside his control could help Max Verstappen win it, like putting pressure on McLaren. I guess that's a bit in his control, but then the McLaren maybe making a mistake in a pit stop, maybe making a mistake in a strategy. I think that Verstappen has every potential to win it. Now, Mercedes have gone fairly well here in the past, haven't they? So I think George Russell, would it surprise me if he's on pole? Absolutely not. But even the Mercedes team, you can't help but feel they've been in a bit of a slump, both him and Antonelli. And when you look at a lot of top 10 drivers, Antonelli doesn't feature in them, George Russell does, in terms of like the halfway through the season. And when you look at a lot of the websites have done who is the best rookie, and Antonelli simply has not had a chance, even though he's definitely the most hyped rookie coming into the season. He needs to do something, and I think he needs to do something soon. Charles Leclerc is having a really good season. I can't, he's doing all right. I can't really fault him too much. This man here, he's made mistakes. He's had issues with the car. Maybe the car doesn't suit him. He's definitely in a funk at the moment. There was even talk about Lewis Hamilton retiring at the end of the year. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he'd be really silly to, unless he knows something we don't. And I think he's going to go into 2026. Once again, he has nearly won at this track a couple of times. Been in the fight for the win. I think he could do quite well here. He could even beat Charles Leclerc. But we'll see. I'd like to think he's got to be at minimum close. But here we go. The big battle. Is it going to be Oscar Piastri, or is it going to be Lando Norris? Lando Norris won here last year. I think Lando Norris is going to take the win here as well. Even if he doesn't take pole position, the momentum is with him. He had he won in Hungary, albeit some people said, was he the deserving? Well, he took advantage of strategy, just like George Russell did in Belgium. Yes, everyone last year, obviously he got disqualified then in 2024, didn't he? So yeah, absolutely fair play. And he had to manage those tyres, and Oscar wasn't fast enough. He couldn't get him. He tried. Oscar, I think, did feel he had half a chance. He just couldn't do it, could he? So I think it's going to be interesting, but I do feel it's going to be Lando Norris, if I'm honest. So if you made it to the end, though, please give us a subscribe. That would be absolutely amazing. If you're already subscribed, completely understand, then give us a like. That'll be amazing too. But until then, we will speak to you soon. Thank you very much. And above all else, stay safe.